Hello and welcome to Your Story, Your Tune. I'm so glad you've joined us tonight. This is where we share real stories from listeners and viewers like you. Moments from ordinary lives that became extraordinary. Turning points that changed everything. And always a song that captured it all. Tonight's story is a difficult one. It's about love that became something else entirely. About the slow erosion of self, and the courage it takes just to see clearly again. Tonight's story comes from Claire in Clitheroe, who wrote to us about 18 years that stripped away everything she thought she knew about herself, and the moment she finally looked in the mirror and saw the truth. This is Claire's story. Claire was 29 when she met Ian at a friend's barbecue in the summer of 2007. He was charming, attentive in a way that felt special. By the following spring, they'd moved into a small terraced house near the centre of Clitheroe, and Claire thought she'd found the life she wanted. She worked part-time as a carer, visiting elderly residents around the Ribble Valley, and Ian managed a warehouse in Burnley. It was ordinary. It was enough. But somewhere in that first year, something shifted. It started with comments that seemed almost helpful. He'd suggest she might want to wear something different before they went out, that perhaps her hair looked better a certain way. When she spent a Sunday afternoon at her sister's in Worley, he'd be quiet on the drive home, withdrawn. "I just missed you," he'd say. And it felt like devotion. She started declining invitations. It was easier. He began asking where she'd been between care visits, checking her mileage, wondering why the Tesco shop had taken 40 minutes instead of 30. At first, Claire explained. Then she found herself accounting for every minute, showing receipts, taking photos of her car in car parks to prove where she'd been. She told herself this was what people did when they loved each other. They stayed close. By 2015, Claire barely recognised the rhythm of her days. Ian would text throughout her shifts, not to check in, but to direct. Had she remembered to defrost the mints? Had she picked up his prescription? Why hadn't she replied sooner? She learned to keep her phone in her hand at all times, to respond within seconds. Her clients noticed she seemed distracted, but Claire smiled and carried on. At home, Ian controlled the small things. What time they ate, what they watched on television, whether she could have a bath before bed or should wait until morning. He told her she was forgetful, that she'd said things she had no memory of saying, that she'd agreed to things she was certain she hadn't. Claire started writing things down in a small notebook she kept in her car, just to be sure. But then she'd doubt the notebook too. Had she written the wrong date? Was her memory of writing it even real? The put-downs grew sharper. She was too sensitive, too dramatic. No one else would put up with her. By 2020, during lockdown, there was nowhere to go, no one to see. Just the two of them in that house in Clitheroe, day after day. Claire stopped keeping the notebook. She stopped trying to remember who she'd been before. It was an ordinary evening in February 2026 when something cracked open inside her. Claire was in the bathroom, brushing her teeth before bed, when she caught sight of herself in the mirror. She stopped, stared. The woman looking back was 48, but she looked older. worn down in a way that's had nothing to do with age. Her eyes were flat. Her expression was blank, careful, a face that had learned not to react. And in that moment, with the tap still running, and Ian's voice calling from downstairs asking if she'd locked the back door, Claire saw it clearly. The love she'd felt for him, that bright, hopeful thing from 2008, was gone. It hadn't left suddenly. It had been chipped away, year after year, comment after comment, until there was nothing left but a hollow space where her self-worth used to be. She was still there, still in the house, still going through the motions, but she was broken, heartbroken. Not by loss, but by what she'd endured and called love for 18 years. She didn't leave that night. She wasn't ready. But she saw herself, finally, and she knew. The woman in the mirror deserved more than this. Later that week, Claire found a local domestic abuse service. She made the call from her car between visits. It was the first step, the hardest one. Claire's story reminds us that some kinds of heartbreak happen slowly, quietly, in the spaces between what we see and what we allow ourselves to know. And the song that means everything to Claire? It's Unwritten by Natasha Bedingfield. It became her anthem in those early weeks of clarity, a reminder that her story wasn't finished, that she could still write new chapters. Due to copyright, we can't include the song in this video, but I will leave a card and a link in the description for you to enjoy Claire's song. If you have a story you'd like to share, we'd love to hear it. Until next time, this has been Your Story, Your Tune.